Push the button. There you go.
There we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back with episodes 1 and 2 of The Amazing Race. Joining me tonight, Calbert. Calbert, how you doing?
What's going on, everybody?
Unfortunately, Goldberg was not able to join us tonight. He does have the COVID-19, most likely the Omicron variant, so he was not able to join us. We really tried, but just wasn't able to happen. So me and Calbert, though, we're going to do our best to recap these 2 episodes, and there was a lot to take in. So, all right, Calbert, before we really get into the meat and potatoes, overall, did you like the first 2 episodes?
I did. I liked the fact that they stayed in London, because sometimes they'll start somewhere and not necessarily finish with the second episode, but they stayed in London for both episodes. I liked both episodes. The both episodes kept my interest. So
yeah, same here. The tasks weren't like the hardest, but they were enough to separate the teams, which is all you really need. And when I say the fact that you like that both episodes were in London, well, I think we're going to have to get used to that, because I think they're going to do that a lot, especially this season. So, you know,
with next week with being in Scotland, that'll be interesting too. So
yes, honestly, I wouldn't have been surprised if the whole race would have been done in the UK. You know, oh, now we're going to Wales, and now we're going to Ireland, and you know, right. So, yeah, it was fun to have the race back. So, all right, so we started the season from everybody's homes, which we also had in season 28, which was the social media season. So this is not the first time that they've done it, but the episode basically starts off where everybody gets out of the airport and they go to a cab, and they have to go to the Buckingham Palace to find the guys in the red phone booths that they had like a costume on. So, what did you think of this at this point?
I thought that was weird, but I also thought that it was more weird that they had more than one clue sometimes. So it ended, right? So like if you picked the wrong guy, he only had like 2 clues in his phone booth. So
yeah,
I thought that was kind of interesting. I wouldn't have thought something like that. I would have just thought the clue would have been in an actual phone booth, because that's a famous thing for London. But having people walk around was kind of weird. So
they actually had to go. I made a little mistake. They actually had to go to the Trafalgar Square to find a man dressed as a red telephone box with a clue. So, yeah, we definitely saw some teams have some issues. I think your team had a little issue with finding it, but not too bad. But I think
and it early. That's what started it. And it's like, to the cab's credit, like every cabbie was like, we got some construction going on. Yeah, it's a little bit busy, but we'll be able to get to it. You know, no problem. And so like that was the thing. It was just the amount of traffic, that happens with doing the cab. So
yes, and there was some construction, so some of the roads were closed off. So it really depended on how good your cab driver knew the side streets to get around those. Right. Some did, some didn't. And I must say, there's not many unlikable teams in this season.
No.
At least I ended up, even teams like when we did our preview, I actually liked most of the teams. There might be 1, maybe 2 that I could see potentially down the line that I might not like. But honestly, I was kind of rooting for everybody in a sense. That was refreshing.
I kind of didn't. The only thing I didn't like about, which I know I've crushed Akbar and Sheridan, and I will probably do it again at some point. The season goes on. The only thing I didn't like was, and that just goes to the just seeing the preview. Like, I was under the impression that they were going to take it as a tortoise type of a race, and okay, as long as we finish, that's all that matters. Akbar was trying to motivate Sheridan to go like, no, we can't be walking.
Yeah. Yes.
So, but
yes.
I will take back a little bit of the heat that I gave them last during the preview show, but I have a feeling that might strike again at some point.
Oh yeah, we still got our power rankings, and it'll be very interesting to see on how we rank some of these teams. But for me and you, this team was our last place team. We thought these guys were going to be eliminated first, and they actually, I mean, for me, they surprised me a little bit. They're a little bit better than I thought.
Yep.
So I'll definitely be bumping them up this week for sure. All right, so once you found the clue from the guy with the red telephone box, then it was on to the season's first detour, and this is where you had to go to the Buckingham Palace. The detour was Artist Den or DigiBen. In Artist Den, teams had to properly paste a 36-piece Banksy-style poster to a wall to receive their next clue. In DigiBen, teams had to find a Bobby in Parliament Square by Big Ben, then find a promoter by Little Ben who would send them to DJ DigiBen in Piccadilly Circus Tube Station with their next clue. So this is where the first episode got interesting. One thing that I noticed was the DigiBen task seemed a lot easier than the Artist Den.
Absolutely. That's the one that if I were in the show, that's the one I would have done, because it looked like just like a square. For all intents, I mean, I'm sure it was more than that. Plus the artist who was like describing how they had to put the flag together, he was just like, oh, just throw it up there. It's kind of like wallpaper. Just throw it up there, you'll be fine. And not saying like it's actually the flag of, the United Kingdom. You gotta make it right. Like nobody knew. It just looked like a piece of paper with fireworks on it, like drawn on fireworks. Like I wouldn't have known that.
Right.
That's why I would have done DigiBen, because that seemed to be a heck of a lot easier, and especially to start off with a puzzle. Like that takes too much time. A puzzle in general on this show takes a long time anyway, and then you don't know exactly what you're putting up.
Yes.
DigiBen is a heck of a lot easier to me.
Oh my goodness! Like the locations. All you got to do is find the people, and that can't be too hard. Like just keep walking. You're eventually going to run into them. Right. Yeah, I really do think these were very uneven, and it really showed by the results of everybody's placement. So let's talk about some of the stuff that happened on this task. Let's talk about your team now. Your team was arguing a little bit about this. It seemed that the guy, what is his name? It's coming to me here. Sam, right?
Sam. Yep.
Sam, yes. So he was looking for a guy named Bobby. He did not look for like an actual Bobby. You know what I mean?
Right.
But they take it. But guess what? They got lucky with it though, because he asked the guy if his name was Bobby, and he gave him the clue because So.
Yep.
But they were behind to start off, but then they did the DigiBen task, and then basically passed everybody who did the Artist Den. So. You know what? That really worked out for them. Some other teams, obviously Akbar and Sherry, they were a little confused on this task too. So then if we talk about the Artist Den, obviously you got Michael and Mo struggling. You got Lulu and Lala struggling. Even Kim and Penn struggled a little bit, and Carol and Ray. So pretty much everybody who kind of did this, except I think, was it one team? Like maybe one team did it pretty well. I can't remember who got it first time. Was it Aaron and Natalia? Or was it Carol and Ray? Carol and Ray might have got it right away.
Oh, Carol and Ray, because well, that's the other thing too. Like even if you figured out, okay, it's a flag, you had to like make sure that it was tight, like there wasn't any separation between the paper. See, that's why that would have drove me nuts. I was like, wait, I just put this together. Okay, it's a flag. Okay, flag. Put it together. oh, it's oh, I can't. Oh, this is ripped. Can't use that one. Oh, that one's too close to the other one. Can't do that. Like that would have just frustrated me to no end. But yeah, there was one team like that's the thing. Once the teams that did it figured out that it was a flag and that it had to be, it had to look a certain way, they pretty much got it, with the exception of Michael and Mo, and that's just because the paper tore for one of them, so they had to reapply a different section of the paper.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what cost them. Yeah. Otherwise, like once everybody kind of figured it out, like it was still time consuming, and Lulu and Lala struggled with it just because they were like, "Oh, okay, it's a flag. Okay, how does this work?" So they were kind of just trying to figure out the dimensions of like how to put it up.
Yes.
And so,
yes,
that's why they caught a break. But that's why I wouldn't have done that one. So.
Yes. The spacing between, and then, they had to kind of get it a little more presentable, basically. Mm-hmm. Some teams were struggling with that. Let's talk about a little bit of the front of the pack here, because these three teams kind of seem like they ran away with this episode. You had Anthony and Spencer did really good this episode, but they were almost kind of like working together with Ryan and Dusty. They kind of stuck together, and these two teams, very impressive. Another team that was very impressive, and I think me and you were kind of high on. Goldberg, not so much, but he did want them to stay in, and I think they are going to stay in. And when I get my power rankings, you might be a little surprised, but Raquel and Kayla, the flight attendants,
absolutely, and
they look good.
They even said that they were like, "Oh, we've even laid over here. This is gonna be fine. We know we actually know where we are," which that was the whole point of them being flight attendants. That's what I said during the previous show. Yep. Like, them being flight attendants will help them if I didn't exactly know they flew international, but I'm like, if they've flown, they're gonna have a leg up on people. Just because, like, they're gonna know, like, okay, this is how we're gonna handle the airport, because we do it almost every day.
Yes.
Like they're a very good team. I like them. They're a very good team.
They are. They proved me they're kind of no nonsense, but they know what they have, and they know kind of like how to use it in a way. And they really impressed me. So we're gonna have some good power rankings at the end of this, but so then where am I? Okay. So then basically after that, they had to go to the London South Molton Street mess hall at Immersive LDN, or Parliament Square. They had to, so then when they finished the detour, they had to find the Queen and Boris Johnson having a nosh at the Chipping Forecast to receive their next clue. This was weird, right?
This was the frustrating part of the episode for me.
Yeah.
Because now, I don't know if that's how it was ended or whatnot, but who doesn't know who Boris Johnson is? Like, there were
a lot of teams didn't.
Like, half the teams didn't know who he was.
Right.
Now, granted, I mean, I got it, and of course he was wearing the helmet because that goes back to a couple years ago. But like, and a nosh is just somebody having a meal. Like, I'm like, this isn't that hard. You find somebody that looks like the Queen and Boris Johnson. That's right. And like, you could even tell the caviar was like, that's the Prime Minister. And I think it was Lulu and Lala that were like, we don't pay the news, we don't do anything. And I'm like, okay. Now, meanwhile, like, all right, I get that. I understand that. I'm not faulting anybody for doing it. But like, if you're going to go on an international show, you got to at least know who some of the players are.
Yes.
So like, if you're going to go to France, right?
Yep.
Knowing who Macron is kind of a good idea.
Yes.
I mean, you got to at least know that. Like, I'm not going to fault anybody for like not knowing,
Or Germany with Merkel.
Right. Yeah. But like, you got to know at least who the people are. Like that if it were me and I were watching it, I know how this is how British people generally are, but I wouldn't like insulted. Like, okay, Whether or not I like Biden or not, or whether or not I like Trump or not, doesn't matter. I at least know who they are.
You got to know who they are. Right. Yeah. You got to know. Especially when you're in the Amazing Race. You should always know. I mean, you should know geography for sure.
Yeah.
You should know driving skills. You should know a little politics about the country you're in. Definitely. I think that definitely would help you in certain ways. But yeah, there's a lot of things in Amazing Race 101 that you need to, study for before you go on the show. If you're so lucky that you get, picked for it. But so the interesting thing about this episode was Michael and Mo actually got through the Artist Den Challenge faster than Lulu and Lala, but their navigation, once they got dropped off, they just passed the they passed the place they were supposed to go, which was the chipping forecast. So Lulu and Lala, while they were trying to find it, got to the chipping forecast right away. So that's how Lulu and Lala passed them up. They got their clue, and then they got to go to the pit stop, which was the Natural History Museum. So unfortunately, Michael and Mo were the last team to arrive. So let's go over the places here of the episode for episode 1. First place was Anthony and Spencer. They had a pretty easy leg, but I will say that most of the tasks were pretty easy in itself. 2, Ryan and Dusty taking second place. Third was Raquel and Kayla, the flight attendants. Fourth was Kim and Penn. Fifth was Caro and Ray. Sixth was Akbar and Sherry. Seventh was Connie and Sam, your team. 8 was Taylor and Isaiah. 9th was Aaron and Natalia. And 10th was Lulu and Lala. And 11th place, unfortunately, the team that I think we were all kind of rooting for, Michael and Mo, unfortunately, they got eliminated. So, Calbert, thoughts on Michael and Mo getting eliminated?
I felt bad for them because I actually thought that they were going. I was like, oh, they're gonna beat Lulu and Lala to the mat. This is just a navigational issue. They'll be fine. They're cops. They should know. The National History Museum. They know. They should know where that is. But as we'll discover in the next episode, finding things in London, even something that's simple, is complicated.
Yes.
Little, which we'll touch on. Little Ben, for example. I felt bad for them, and they can actually sing. Like if there's a singing competition, they would have crushed it. I felt bad for them. It was just a little mix-up, just a little slip-up, and that's all it takes.
I really wish they would have taken the other challenge, because I honestly don't know why they did the puzzle challenge. I mean, I don't know. I don't know why. People must have been thrown off by the having to go to point A to point B to point C. I don't know. Maybe it just was something that they just didn't feel confident in. Who knows? But it's really too bad, because they were one of the teams that really made an impression on me when I was watching all the intro videos. I was rooting for them, but like I said, it's a very good cast overall. I don't really dislike any team really, but Lulu and Lala, they escape from the skin of their teeth. So, all right. So that was episode 1. Were you a fan overall?
Yeah. I liked it. I was actually even surprised that it really didn't rain, which that's something London's famous for. It didn't rain in either episode that I can recall.
No.
That's stunning.
No, it didn't. And the other thing is, it was a nighttime leg. I love nighttime legs.
Yeah.
You don't see them often, but when you get them, they are a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, leg 2 now. We're going to episode 2, leg 2. So, all right. So the first place they got to go is from the Postal Museum to the Mail Rail. In this season's first roadblock, one team member had to ride a train along the mail rail to a loading dock and sort through a bin filled with packages and envelopes to find their next clue. So this one was pretty funny. Okay. So So Ryan and Dusty, obviously they cranked it out pretty fast. But I even funnier than that, Kim and Penn and Carol and Ray.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Literally looking through this thing for about 30 minutes. Even though Spencer says, pretty sure all you got to do is get the envelope that says Amazing Race, and that's it.
And they were like, "Oh, it can't. No, he's throwing us off. It can't be. It can't be that simple." Yeah, yes, it can. It can be that simple. You're on the Amazing Race, and rightfully so. Carr in particular, I would have made fun of my partner too. Like, basically, she called him an idiot without really calling him an idiot, because he was an idiot.
Yes. Well, Ray too. Ray was like throwing a lot of shade to Spencer. He was saying, "Well, this guy's clearly trying to, make us throw us off." Like, no, I don't think so at all. He actually was telling you the truth, but you were kind of going, at him. So, yeah.
And my thought was like, he's going to, try and deceive you in the second episode. What? Yeah. No, it's only the second episode. He doesn't know a hole in the wall yet. Like, he's not gonna like go, go that way. Oh, go through that box, that other big box that has nothing in it.
Yeah.
What? Oh, I mean, well, that's part of the show, but like not that early. Not this.
Was there any other notable things that happened with this first roadblock? I mean, to me, it seemed like an easy roadblock. The only people that really made it tough were Kim and Ray, or I'm sorry, Penn and Ray. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what threw them off, but anyways, I think it was relatively a really tame roadblock, but some teams made it a lot harder than it needed to be. All right. So moving along. So then we had this leg's detour. So where they had to go, which would have been the London Leicester Square. This leg's detour was a choice between bullseye, mate, or decorate. In bullseye, mate, both team members had to score a bullseye on a dartboard in the same 6-toss round to receive their next clue. In decorate, teams were presented with 12 cakes that resembled the flags of Sierra Leone, the United Kingdom, South Africa, Norway, Germany, Brazil, Russia, Jamaica, France, Chile, Thailand, and Colombia, and had to replicate 2 cakes from countries that are part of the European Union. France and Germany were the only correct answers to receive their next clue from the master banker. So, with these 2 episodes, the key strategy here was picking the right detour.
Absolutely. And
it's just no-brainers here.
And you do bullseye because you do bullseye, and it's not like that's the thing. Like again, just like the first episode. You get a beer while you're shooting the darts. Like, look, I'm not the best dart thrower, but like all you had to do was hit bullseye once.
Yep.
And if you hit it once, you were good. Now, granted, I mean, every dartboard is different. I'm not the best dart thrower. Every dartboard is different, and the distance that you're throwing from can be different too. It wasn't terribly far for them.
No.
Any of them. But like, okay, I get a beer and I get to throw darts. How hard is that compared to making a cake? Because then I have to try and remember which countries are in the EU. And as we discovered, if they don't know who Boris Johnson is, some people don't know which countries are in the EU and which ones aren't.
Correct.
So that's why
I had no idea that Brexit happened.
Doing bullseye was a heck of a lot easier. Now, granted, it may take you a little bit longer. Because you had to be you had to be precise. You actually had to hit the bullseye because sometimes if you're playing darts, like if you're playing darts in a bar, they might give you the benefit of the doubt. Okay, it didn't actually stick, but it's kind of near it. We'll give it to you.
Sure.
Well,
the interesting thing about darts, I mean, I've played quite a bit. I still play when I go to the bars. I don't go to the bars much anymore, but when I went a lot, I always played darts. But when you're trying to aim for a specific spot, you get better and better and better as you go along. So right. if I'm trying to get one particular spot, even though the bullseye is tough, chances are you're going to get it. So right. This task was a no-brainer. Yeah, drink a beer and hit a bullseye. Like, come on. That's
compared to putting putting berries to make sure that the flag of Norway, because some people use Norway, and when in their first attempt of trying to pass the cake off to the baker,
yeah,
like that's going to take more time. That's the other reason why I wouldn't have done it. Like, this is going to be too complicated. Now, granted, I didn't when I first looked at it, I was like, oh, okay, they're just the cake's pretty much made for them. They just kind of have to put it together, you know. That takes so much time for me compared to throwing a dart. Okay, which one's easier? And that's the other thing too. Like, it wasn't like there was another dartboard to the right, so it wasn't like you were being pressured by a team standing behind you because you weren't getting it. It was just you and you alone. So, and especially for it seemed like Aaron and Natalie, they were like, Aaron was kind of struggling with it, and he was like, "Well, we'll give it 5 more minutes, and if we don't get it, we don't get it." Like, no, you're almost done. You're hitting the board. You're just not hitting the right spot.
You know? Yes, exactly. Like I mean, there was some teams like I think your team did pretty well on this. Like, obviously, Dusty and Ryan just knocked it off like that. But Aaron and Natalia were actually questioning, should we switch tasks? And they're good. They were actually better off if they ended up staying because they eventually got it. But some funny stuff that happened. I don't know if you watched the YouTube extra scenes that they have. They do extra scenes on YouTube. Aaron had to go to the bathroom really bad during this. So Natalia was like really getting on him. So and the other thing is they almost forgot their fanny pack. So they got in the cab and they remembered, oh shoot, where's our fanny pack? So they had to go back in and get it. But another interesting thing about this episode we did not get to see was in an unaired task after the detour, teams had to climb to the top of the Arcellular middle orbit to receive their next clue. Production intended for teams to slide down after getting their clue. However, due to fog, teams were instructed to climb down. So maybe that's why they didn't air it.
Oh.
They had to go. So basically, there was the Flight Club Victoria for the darts task, and then Mange for the cake task. So after that, they had to go to the Russell Square Metro Station in the double-decker bus. So, but yeah, we definitely should talk about the cake task because a lot of teams didn't know Brexit. There was a few. Carol and Ray, I think, did a really good job at it. Anthony and Spencer had a couple tries. I think Akbar and Sherry actually got it their first try. I'm not sure if they saw other teams and that's why they did it or not. But I do know Kim and Penn didn't get it right the first time. I don't think Raquel and Kayla got it right the first time either. So,
Yep.
So some teams, they either had problems with making the cake the way the master wanted it, or they just didn't get the right country. So,
right, and they had to walk the cake down a set of steps. That's the other reason why I wouldn't have done this, because in the event that I drop the cake, because that could happen.
Yeah.
You're starting all over again. Now, when I okay, it's you. The first 2 countries that popped in my head were France and Germany. I went, that's easy.
Yep.
Everything else is just a ploy to try and mess you up.
Yes.
So, but that's, and to the master's credit, he was sometimes critical, kind of like the judge for the in the first episode. Like, if it wasn't, it had to be a certain dimension, and if it wasn't right, you had to go back, even if it was the right country. So that's why I wouldn't have done that. It would have been fun, it would have been cool, but it was interesting. I think part of it, it wouldn't surprise me if we find out maybe later and season goes on and like an after show, if there was like a limit, because sometimes they do that. Like there's only certain, I mean, it's not always said. You know, sometimes they'll read the clue and they'll go, oh, like only 4 teams can do this.
Oh,
right?
yeah. Yep.
So
and if you're not the first,
yep. Well, we might be, you know, we might have no choice. We might have to do the cake. So, but I thought that was kind of cool. It actually made me hungry, you know, because those cakes look good.
Yes. Yes. Oh, definitely. Were you a little disappointed at the master that he would basically flat out just say like, yeah, United Kingdom is not part of the EU, or I'm sorry, he's the master baker, I should say. He would actually point out that the United Kingdom was not in the EU, like instead of saying this is wrong. Do you think he should have just said this is wrong instead of saying specifically what's wrong with it? Because like a lot of times in Amazing Race, they won't tell you like what you have wrong. You have to figure that out.
I was okay with it only because there were so many countries. Like if I were doing it, like I mean, it's you know it's Monday morning quarterbacking, right? You're sitting at home in your chair. Like of course you go, oh well, yeah, I would have done this, but yeah, I mean, I was okay with it only because it's the second episode. I have a feeling, and as we go on, like this isn't going to happen next week in Scotland, because people in Scotland do not care. If it's not the way it's supposed to be, they will flat out tell you, you know, nope, and they won't tell you why, because that's just how the Scottish are. So, I was okay with it, only because, like, and that's the thing too. Like, I think that because it was kind of standing next to each other, it was almost impossible not to go, well, it's France and Germany, right? Because if you, well, obviously, if you have to go back a second time, you know it's going to cost more time. So, like, let's say you were going to guess which one of them did, Norway and Great Britain. Well, both those are wrong.
Yes, yeah.
But
I mean, good job knowing that they're in Europe, but
yeah, you got that.
Bad.
I think that was okay. I think that was okay. I thought for Akbar and Sherry, like he was investigating I think it was Akbar's one a little bit closer. I think it had to do with the design of his cake. Like he was making sure that like the lift of the cake wasn't too large, right?
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of interesting. But yeah, other than that, I mean, like, and I felt bad. I feel bad for judges like that, because you're there. We know this. You're there all day, you know. And if like me and you're going, okay, which one have we done and which one didn't we do? Because that's the thing that would have annoyed me. That's the one thing that would have annoyed me with this, is that if I knew that my cake was right, why doesn't, my partner should have to go up there and then get a different cake? I shouldn't have to take my cake back up there. That's the thing that annoyed me with the baker itself. Was like, okay, my cake's right. Why do I have to carry my cake all the way back up? Why can't I just leave my cake here? That was the question I had, but
yeah, no, I totally get that. Well, plus you had like I think it was it Kim and Penn where they had like, I guess, or was it Anthony and Spencer where they had the bleeding of the cake where they had to go back and kind of redo it. It was one of those teams, I remember. It was interesting to note that there was only 3 teams that did the darts task, right? It was Ryan and Dusty, Connie and Sam, and Aaron and Natalia.
Correct. Yep.
So what also was funny was those were the top 3 teams of this episode. So clearly that was the better choice of the detour. So I think in both episodes, the moral of the story is if you pick the right detour, you did good. So you probably placed a lot higher than anybody who did the other detours. So
my goal always in this show is to try to make my head hurt as least as possible. So do these tests first, because eventually at some point there's going to be math involved, or something or like some type of task that might be timed, so okay, how long does it take me to get from point A to point B? Right. So.
Yeah. Well, all right. So then the placings for this second leg were first place was Ryan and Dusty. Second place was Connie and Sam. Third place was Aaron and Natalia. Fourth place was the flight attendants, Raquel and Kayla. Fifth place was Kim and Penn. Sixth place was Carol and Ray. Seventh place was Anthony and Spencer. Eighth place was Akbar and Sherry. Ninth place was Taylor and Isaiah. And 10th place was Lulu and Lala, coming in 10th again, 2 times in a row.
Were you concerned about your team finishing 6th because they finished off the first leg very, very well?
Yeah, I'm a little surprised they went to the cake challenge. I think if I had any questions about them, I think they should have done the darts task. So I'm not really sure why they didn't pick that task, to be honest. But I don't know. I don't really know. But before we kind of talk about our teams, what did you think of episode 2?
I liked episode 2, but I liked episode 1 better. I think that's just because it's the start of the show. Not that episode is bad. Like episode 2 is fine. It's fine. But I also think that the easy part of the show is over. I have a feeling the easy part, like the which makes sense. I mean, the tasks are going to get harder, obviously. But yeah, I thought overall the second episode was fine. I'd probably give the second episode like a 6, the first episode a 7. So
yeah,
little different, but like it's just because the tasks were easy. I thought they were easy. So
they were easy all around. I thought. I'm going to give the first episode 6.5. I'm going to give the second episode like a 5.5. So,
okay, the general ballpark.
Yeah, I just something was missing. I'm not sure. I mean, it was still good, but we really haven't had that breathtaking episode yet. And we always get it at least per season. So as far as leg 2 goes, it was a keep on racing leg. I said before the episode aired, I'm like, yeah, this is probably gonna be a non-elimination, at least one of these episodes.
Which Goldberg is very, very lucky because his team is still alive, although I think their days are numbered. I know we haven't gotten to the power rankings yet, but it just by what we've seen, it looks like their days are numbered.
Yeah, 2 really bad performances and a lot of baggage, apparently.
Yep, they got a spot of tea and they have some off-race issues. I don't know how else to phrase that.
Yes. One girl came after a breakup, and apparently it's been affecting one of them. So,
yep.
So, all right. Talk about your team. How did you like your team for these 2 weeks?
I like the fact that they finished in second in the second leg.
Yes.
I think they're getting their feet about them. I think they do a very good job of communicating with each other. Like that's the issue is just like finding the Bobby, for example. Like I actually knew that was one thing I knew about London besides where little Ben was. You also know where Big Ben is, but I knew that a Bobby was called a police officer.
Yes.
But outside of that, I'm okay. Like they're kind of where I thought they might be. I'm thinking more of the first episode than the second, just because they caught a break because they did the darts in the second episode.
Yes.
So, I think they'll be okay.
Both times they chose the right detour.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep.
Like if Goldberg were here, I'm sure he would say he'd have to be concerned. My team
he texted.
Yeah, last and then last. And so like that's not a good start.
No.
I guess the one other thing that I'm annoyed with just overall with the team is Aaron and Natalie saying Detroit in the house every single going on. That's going to be annoying. That's going to get annoying real quick. And they happen to wear Detroit. I think the second episode said Detroit in the house. That's annoying.
I
didn't know they had their own shirts I mean, don't get me wrong. Detroit's a fine city. There are songs about it.
Yes.
That's going to be annoying. I think they're in a little bit of trouble. I think your team's fine. Like, that happens. Like, it's the beginning of the race. Like, we go, oh, like, well, sometimes this happens too. Like, a team will jump out right away and we'll go, yep, that's it. They're not going to be caught. You know, kind of like last year. They're not going to be caught. That's it. You know, but yes. It's just part of the race. And to Akbar's credit, he said, like, yes, the important part in the beginning, and he's right, the important part is just to finish. Now, I didn't know that Cherry was an athlete beforehand, so I get the motivating part. Like, that's just part of being an athlete. But like, she's gonna have to pick it up. And I think your team's fine. I wouldn't be concerned. Like, you know, it happens. Sometimes you pick the wrong task, and at this point, you're just, you know, we're 2 episodes in, so you're just trying to survive.
Yeah. I think I think they did. I think they did fine. I mean, obviously the first episode they blew out of the water, and then second task, they just had the wrong. They did the wrong detour, but you know, it happens. Hopefully, shouldn't affect them too much, I don't think. One team that I think could be the heels, and it's not even really a team per se, it's half a team, is Ray from Carol and Ray. You see Ray in the scenes on YouTube. He's pretty intense, and he's high strung. He's very high strung.
Not a happy camper in the cab when he knew that he screwed up with the clue.
Yes.
He was not a happy camper. And like, Kara even said that. He was like, or she was like, you know, we've never really gone through this before, so I don't exactly know how he handles stressful situations. I can answer that one. Not well.
Yeah.
And very, very high strung. Like, I'm not saying, I don't think that part's going to affect as to why they may or may not get eliminated, but like, you just got to, you know, okay, you got to be able to make fun of yourself if you make a mistake like that. Like, yes, it's a serious thing, but like, you know, haha, it says Amazing Race on the clue. I should have just picked it up and gone onto the train. No big deal. But he didn't do that. And he was like, oh, you know, whatever, it happened, it's over. Like, no. You talk about it for a couple, and then you go about it. Like, that's at least one thing I can say for Lulu and Lala. Like, they are handling their situation in the cab right now, this minute.
Yeah, terrible timing, right? Yeah. I mean, terrible timing to be going through something like this. They should have had this out of the way. That was, you know, with Carol and Ray, is kind of what I thought of Sam and Connie. But actually, Sam and Connie are pretty calm, and, you know, they talk to each other with respect and whatnot. Carol and Ray, granted, they didn't really get into a fight, but I can see it's going to come. It's going to come with Ray, how high strung he is. I see it coming. So yeah, that's all I got to say. I'm seeing it coming. So let's do our power rankings. This is the fun part. Who's your 10th place team?
So 10th place, I got Lulu and Lala. I have no choice. Like,
yes, they took 10th twice.
I don't know how they survived. Because we have to remember, they have to do an additional task.
They actually, you know, that's the thing. So it technically was a keep on racing leg.
Oh, that's right.
So they're lucky. It was not a non-elimination.
That's right. So yeah, but they're still in trouble.
Like, oh yeah.
I would not feel confident. In 9th, I have Aaron and Natalie, and I think I just have them there just because they.
Wait. Oh wait. Are we going back and forth?
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's okay. Sorry. No, that's okay. 10th, I do have Lulu and Lala as well. Okay. They are a wreck right now. The only thing I can comment for Goldberg is he said, my team, here, I'll read his exact text message. So we at least have a little something from his opinion. Bear with me. Bear with me. Almost here. Okay. He goes, I couldn't have been more wrong this season. LOL. They are nothing like I thought they'd be. He said, still in it though, LOL. So he did say still in it, LOL. So
he's not wrong, even if it is only a week.
Right. Yes. Correct. And Goldberg, he's going to pull something out of his sleeve. So I'm not putting it past Lulu and Lala, but yeah, they're definitely 10th place. I'll be shocked if they don't get eliminated, but there always could be that one team that just makes that colossal mistake, like the two sisters last year in Paris, where they just drove around 4 blocks for 4 hours. So it could happen. All right. Who's your 9th place team now?
I have Aaron and Natalie, and I have them just because I think the father is gonna. I think he's just gonna mess something up. Like he was very, very frustrated with the darts. I don't fault him because I don't know how long he was there. But he looked frustrated to me.
Yeah.
So they kind of bickered with each other a little bit, not nearly to the extent of like Lulu or Lala or even Kim and Penn. But they kind of, there was a little bit of bickering going on, and like think about that. Like if they would have switched the tasks to go do the cake, okay, we know it's the non-elimination part of it, but like they would have been in trouble, which they still are.
Yeah.
They're not in deep, standing wise. So like I think they're in trouble.
Fair enough. My 9th place team is actually Akbar and Sherry. Now I gave them a lot of props, but originally I had them at 11, and I had Lulu and Lala at 10. That's kind of funny how that worked. But Akbar and Sherry, I'm putting them at 9, which is higher than I originally had them. So from what I've seen, I'm still not convinced they're a top team or even a mid-card team. I still think they're in the bottom, so I'm going to put them at 9, but I do have them passing Lulu and Lala this week just because they've shown enough at least to get past them. So at my number 9th place team is Akbar and Sherry. Who's your 8th place team?
My 8th place team is Akbar and Sherry. I think it's only just because in the event, so in my head, I have them racing to the mat against Aaron and Natalie. And just because Akbar was an athlete, I think that might help them. But same with you. I don't have them going far. I'll be stunned if they even finish in the top 5. I'll be stunned.
Yeah.
At any point. It's just a smidge higher. Doesn't mean I think they're great or anything. I got to put them somewhere. So
sure. My number 8 team is Taylor and Isaiah, the YouTube sensations. I like this team. They're not bad. They're really level-headed, it seems, and they're kind of cool and calm. But I got to call you out. You're not really doing anything. You took 8th place on the first leg and 9th place on the second leg. They're lucky I'm even putting them at 8, to be honest. But yeah, Taylor and Isaiah really aren't doing too much for me. I think these 3 teams are clearly the bottom of the pack. So I'm putting Taylor and Isaiah at number 8. Number 7, your number.
I have Taylor and Isaiah at 7, and it's just because I'm literally sitting here trying to think, what did they do that made me that I think made them stand out in either episode, and I can't think of anything. Like they really didn't do anything. It doesn't mean that they won't do something. It's just like they're kind of a forgotten team. So like
they are.
I have them 7th. I would gladly put them 10th, but Lulu and Lala are there, and that's where they're going to stay.
Right.
I don't expect Taylor and Isaiah to do much, but we'll see.
The only thing I can see with them is they chose both the harder detours, both episodes.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe they start choosing the right detour and they get a little higher, but it's not like they're knocking out these detours super fast. And that's the other thing. Like there's a lot of other teams that they were competing against on the same detour and they weren't beating them really. So yeah, I'm not too high on this team. They're just not showing enough right now. So you got them at 7. I got them at 8. So my 7th place team. And now this is where to me, it kind of starts getting a little tougher because I think some of the talent level is it's a little tougher here. But I have Aaron and Natalia. They had a rough first leg, but they had a pretty good second leg. But you're right. I just don't trust. Like 7th place for them is pretty good. So at that point, for me to put them at 7, I think is really not too far off. They had a 9th place finish and a 3rd place finish. We'll see how they do, but obviously with their dynamic, they have been bickering a lot. So I don't have them too high, but 7th place, they are my 7th place team. Who's your 6th place team?
6th place, I have Kim and Penn. I think that, which is hard because sure. I think Penn he had a brain fart and kind of was trying to be psychological in the game a little too early, which we've kind of crushed both Penn and earlier. So I have them 6th. I think Kim is obviously the brains of the operation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're fine. I just think that they might have just hit a small little speed bump, and I think they'll be okay. I could see them winning maybe a leg.
Sure.
About it.
Yeah, well, Penn. The thing with Penn, he says he overthinks things because he has ADHD. So
very analytical. Like
yes,
because of his I think is it OC? I think he said he had ADD, right?
I thought it was ADHD.
ADHD. Yeah,
I thought he said that. Yeah.
So he like when he was putting the flag together, he closes off his mind and like really focuses on whatever he needs to focus on. Kind of sounds interesting.
That's a good thing. I mean, on the Amazing Race, that could be a really good thing.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
I didn't know that was a form of ADHD, but it would make more sense on OCD, you would think. Mm-hmm. But I could have swore he said ADHD. But I'd have to replay that. We're on the 6th place team, right? Yeah. My 6th place team is Carol and Ray. They didn't really do anything to stand out. They got their task done pretty well, but I'm just not convinced with this team. It's Ray, something with Ray. I don't know what it is. I want to see more of it because I think we're just starting to see little cracks of it. And I think they're going to be the team that just really, like, you start seeing their whole personality. So remember, this is the team that came from Love Island. So I think their relationship right now seems really good, but I think it's going to take a turn for the worse here pretty soon. So they are my 6th place team. They are young. They seem to do the task pretty quick, but they're not looking any really better to me. They took 5th place and 6th place. So I got them right at 6. So that's my 6th place team. Who's your 5th place team?
So I have Cara and Ray also. It's only because I think that Ray and them are going to go up at some point, but we're not there. So it's I agree with you. I think it's a Vesuvius type situation, but like they're good enough to beat Akbar and Sherry in a sprint, you know. And then they'll fight when they'll step on the mat. Phil will say, congratulations, you took 3rd. Let's say you took 3rd. Then they'll step off the mat and then they'll bicker with each other. So yeah, I think that my top 4 are pretty solid. I think that so far from what we've seen.
Sure. My 5th place team. I don't know if you might find this a little surprising. I got Sam and Connie at 5th. Originally, I had them at 4th in the preview. To me, they did really good on episode 2, and they did okay on episode 1. They had their faults, but keep in mind when I said Taylor and Isaiah might have some room to go up, and Kim and Penn, this team has picked the easier tasks 2 times. So there's something, they seem a little lethargic. I don't want to say it's because they're Southern, obviously. I'm not saying that at all.
Sure.
But there's something about them where it's a little slow. It's not as slow as Akbar and Sherry, not by any means, but they seem a little slow. So I got them at 5. I just put them back 1. They did really good on episode 2, so it's kind of surprising I would put them back, but just kind of from what I'm seeing, I got them at 5. I'm definitely, they could go either way from here for as far as, where I put them next week. It really depends. Like I want to see a really, really strong, like first, possibly first place. And they almost did this episode, but I gotta combine what I saw first episode. I gotta combine what I saw second. So they got 5th place to me. All right. Who's your 4th?
My 4th is Ryan and Dusty. Like they could, now it's only 2 episodes. They really could win it all. They don't care about nothing. They just put their head down and they go about their business. Like it's about us.
Yeah.
We don't care what anybody else is doing. We'll let them fight. They really could. I like that team. They're a really good team. I think they'll win multiple legs.
Yes. They definitely could. So my 4th place team here, this is the team that kind of passed your team, and I want to say I had this team at 5 or 6 when we did our preview, but I got the flight attendants at 4. So that's a jump up from where I originally had them. They took 3rd and 4th, pretty solid legs, obviously, but I can't really justify putting them at 4th. And granted, you're probably going to say, well, why do you have them ahead of this team? But it's just the eye test. The eye test has to play some into it. So I got them at 4, but that's a really solid team, though. They really impressed me. I don't think me putting them at 4 is a knock on them. It's not. So they moved up 1 in my spot, but to get out of 4, you're going to really have to prove something to me. So who's your number 3?
My number 3 is Connie and Sam. And I just think I have to go off of the fact that it was just the last leg. Like,
sure.
They're when they take a beat as a team, like they figure it out. The one thing I'm concerned about, and the reason why I have them so high, is because when they take the beat, they figure it out, and they figure it out quickly. It's, can they figure it out quick enough if they need to? And I think they can. Especially from what I saw from Sam. Like, he was like, oh, that's a Bobby. Okay. Like, once they kind of got their bearings about them, they figured it out. Like, okay, this is who we're looking for, blah, blah, blah. They're a good team. I mean, I have a feeling that they might do a little bit of yo-yoing, right?
Yes.
But I think they have enough to. I think they got enough to at least make it interesting as we go on. As far as like, they're a team too. Like, they kind of just put their head down and they go to work. They're kind of like Ryan and Dusty in that way. They're like, okay, this is what we're looking for. Boom, let's go. But yeah, so I'm doing the same thing. First impressions. The first episode wasn't great, but like they figured it out. Okay, and then they finished second. Like, and that's because the only reason why they finished second is because they were just a smidge behind. So,
no, there's really no wrong pick in your power rankings. I mean, this is all, we're kind of combining a little bit of everything, and the eye test does kind of play a part in this. My 3rd place team is Kim and Penn. Something about this team, they have a very positive attitude. They kind of remind me of, to a much lesser extent, Colin and Christy. Was it right? Colin and Christy. Yeah, the winners of season 31. They kind of give off that vibe. I don't think they're as good as that team, but something about them, like they took 4th and 5th, but they also did both of the tougher tasks, both episodes. So I got to kind of include that. I got them slightly ahead of Raquel and Kayla. I'm definitely willing to see what happens in leg 3. I think leg 3 is going to tell us a lot as far as like how permanent our power rankings are going to be. But as of right now, I got Kim and Penn number 3. I believe I originally ranked them at 2. So my top 3 hasn't really changed much, but I got Kim and Penn going down 1 So who's your number 2 team?
So my number 2 team is the Flight Attendants, Raquel and Kayla. I had them originally at 4 in the pre-ranking. I got them at 2. Like they did really well. They did really well about episodes, like you said, and they're the same kind of team. Like, yes, they're gonna be flirtatious and kind of be funny and jokey, but like at the same time, they go, oh, like we're flight attendants. Okay, we've been, like for London, for example, they're like, oh, we've been here. We've actually laid over here. We actually know where we are. They're gonna win at least a couple legs, I think. I mean, it's first impression, so I think they'll do fairly well. I really do. It wouldn't surprise me if they finished in the top 4 when it was all said and done. They're that good. So
yeah, they had 2 really strong legs to them. So my number 2 team is actually going to be the team I picked. I got to put Anthony and Spencer at 2. Had a little bit of slip up in leg 2, so I had them originally winning. They're still my pick, still my draft pick, obviously, but I'm going to move them down just 1 spot. They just had, a 7th place finish. I got to knock you down a little bit, so they're my number 2 team right now. But they still look really good, and I'm interested to see what they do in number 3, because leg 1 they just totally whizzed through it. But obviously that means your number 1 is Anthony and Spencer. So
correct, very good. That's no. I just think they just had a bad leg in the second one. They just picked the wrong task, because in the first, I mean, I don't know if Phil was looking at his watch, but if he would have had a watch on, I think he was very surprised that Anthony and Spencer, or that 18 got there as quickly as they did. I mean, Phil doesn't have any favorites, but I think he was generally surprised. I think that was just a small little hiccup, nothing to worry about. I think they're fine. That's going to happen too. Like we know about the show. Like that happens. Like one little mistake, no big deal. If it becomes a trend, like we think with Lulu and Lala, for example, that's going to be troublesome.
Yes.
But yeah, I think they're okay. They're. I don't think they're going to be eliminated until the end. They have like a top 3 team feel to me. They're that good, because that's another thing too. They're kind of adjusting that way, where they just go, okay, what do we have to do? All right,
Yes.
Yes,
I totally agree with you there. I think that's both. There's a few teams that have that mentality.
Mm-hmm.
Just do your task, ask questions later, kind of thing.
Right.
All right. Well, it makes sense. My number 1, I moved them up 2 spots this week, is Ryan and Dusty. I do think they probably got a little bit of, some easier tasks. I don't think they've been really pressured much, but the fact that they are whizzing through everything basically with a 2nd and 1st place finish, I have to put these guys at number 1. They are also in my top 3. I'm feeling really good about my top 3 picks this year. But yeah, these guys, they look really good. A puzzle task could throw them off. So I'm not going to say, like I said, week 3 is a big indicator. But as of right now, I got them as my number 1 team in our power rankings. So yeah, that's our power rankings for this week.
And as we know, going into next week, as we saw for the preview, that's when the pandemic kind of starts. So it even says in the preview, while racing through Scotland in February of 2020, teams received shocking and unprecedented news. For the first time in the show's history, the Amazing Race suspends production due to the COVID-19 pandemic. So,
before we really kind of look at episode 3, first thing is we're going to lose another team. So we do know one team's probably going to get eliminated.
Yep, that's
however, there's going to be 2 teams that are not going to come back. Should we talk about that next week? Or should we give our predictions on who we think it'll be that doesn't come back to the second half of it? Or should we talk about that next? Should we talk about that after episode 3?
I think we should probably talk about that after episode 3.
Okay. Okay.
It's your call. It's your call, but I think that would probably be better. But
okay, well, I'll just give an early indicator. Like, if there's two teams that I think that are going to still be in it but not come back, I could see it being possibly Akbar and Sherry.
Okay.
And Caro and Ray. I don't know why, but those would be my two picks. Only because with Akbar and Sherry, when they run the school, it might not be easy for them to get off again.
That's true.
And Caro and Ray, I don't know. I don't know why. I don't really have a real strong indicator as why, but yeah, I'm just gonna say those would be the two teams to not come back.
Well, you picked one of mine, which is that's okay. I had Akbar and Sherry also. My other pick would have been Kim and Penn, only because they've got a bunch of kids. So,
you would think, but there's a couple things about them that I don't think it's going to be them. A, they quit their jobs to be the YouTube personalities that they are.
That is true.
And B, they are all over social media. I mean, literally all over. Go to the scenes on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, if you watch any of them with them in it, they have their own account and they are responding to basically everybody. So I think they're in this race for the long haul, but I don't know how long they're going to be in it. But usually when teams are really pumped up on social media, it's not always a spoiler, but for some reason, I think they're at least in it for at least a while. So I think they would come back.
Okay. That's
just my pick.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
So
nothing wrong with it.
I could be totally off. All right, so let's talk about Scotland now. We know we're going to Scotland.
We do.
We're taking the train there.
We are, and we have to drive stick. We know that.
Oh, there we go. That's gonna break. That's gonna separate some teams.
They have to drive stick, so we know how that generally works for people that don't. It doesn't work well. I'm not ruining it by telling you that it doesn't work well. Usually, a lot of teams.
How many teams have killed the clutch throughout these seasons? I mean, just too many to talk. Or gotten in accidents, or you name it. Oh man, there's so many that have gotten fender benders. Wow. I am definitely looking forward to it.
That's the other thing too. It's only an episode. Sorry, it's only an hour long. So the episode's only an hour long. So that the 2 hours, because it was the premiere, makes sense. So it's 2 episodes. We're in the 1 episode cycle for at least a little bit. So 8 o'clock Central, 9 Eastern, 8 o'clock Central, and Pacific. So there you go.
Wow. Do you think we're going to get any more 2 hour episodes or 2 hour blocks?
Sure. Yeah.
You think we'll get one more at least?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna venture a guess and say we probably won't get it until, I'm gonna guess sometime in February. Would be the middle of February would be my guess. Here's my thought, because I believe that they're going to play March Madness this year again because it's a money grab.
Yeah.
I believe that they're going to try and capitalize on that. So they're going to give us a 2 episode, maybe a back-to-back one in that, like 4 total. So like the couple weeks in February would be my guess. I don't know anything. I haven't read anything, but that would be my guess. It would make sense to put it there because at least throw out the little carrot and get us all excited about it, and then go, okay, cool. We got to wait till after March Madness and see what happens after that. Yeah, that's what I would do if I were doing it. I don't know if that's what they're going to do, but it would make sense to me.
Yeah. No. Well, yeah. We'll have to see how this plays out. I'm only thinking about just possibly, with the 2 teams that are not going to be coming back.
Sure.
I wonder, are they going to do more keep racing legs? So that's kind of what I'm wondering.
I wonder if they'll say why, meaning the 2 teams that quit. Why are you quitting? Are you quitting?
I would think we would have to have some type of confessional, right? At least.
Yeah, like I'm quitting. Like so, like when when Penn like messed up his knee, right? He like don't hit the sidewalk.
Oh yeah, he fell down. We totally forgot about that. Yeah.
Is it I mean, I'm not a doctor. I didn't set it all in, but like, did he do like some damage to like his MCL ACL kneecap? Like, because it looked like he kind of looked like he was limping a little bit afterwards.
Oh, maybe they are a team that did. Maybe they are quitting, and maybe they're just really happy about the episodes they were on.
Maybe
it's possible. But I'll tell you this though. Mm-hmm. I'll tell you this: Kim and Penn are the ratings getter team. Just look at their YouTube stuff. Way beats, just destroys any other team in views. I mean, they are the popular team. So if they go out, Amazing Race is going to lose ratings. A lot of people on those comments in YouTube said, the only reason I'm watching this season, I haven't watched Amazing Race in about 10 years. I'm watching it for Kim and Penn. So just go on there when you get a chance. They are a very popular team. Mm-hmm. I mean, we've all seen some of their videos probably before they were on the race unknowingly. I actually did see a video unknowingly by them like a couple of years ago. So they are pretty popular though. It's pretty crazy how popular they are. So
it was a thought that I had. I was like, I wonder if they're going to say what, because like, I mean, the pandemic would be an easy response. Nobody would fault them for saying that. But I generally, teams don't quit in the middle of the race unless something seriously bad happened. Like, so for example, death in the family, they themselves got hurt so that they couldn't compete.
Yeah.
Or they were too freaked out, like they have a fear of heights and they just discovered I have a fear of heights. Like we've seen that before. Like there have been teams that are on the top of water slides and they get frozen, they can't do it.
I remember that. Yeah.
Time to do that. Like it happens.
Yeah. They got eliminated because of that. Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah, that's crazy.
That is interesting. I mean, then we could be. That's the thing about this. Though we could be totally wrong. It could be like, I doubt this, but like it could be Ryan and Dusty.
It could be. I mean, I would imagine it's going to be a combination of either they can't miss too much time of work, or they are really, I mean, they just didn't want to come back and deal with possibly getting COVID. I'm not sure. But I can say another thing that they said was past episode 3, they are basically staying out of big cities too. So a lot of the countries they go to are going to be more on the rural areas, so suburban type stuff. But who knows? They're going to be staying in Europe. I mean, we know Scotland, but then after that, it's probably going to be like France, maybe Germany.
Yep.
I don't know. Like when we talked about that last week. So that's what I'm also interested in. I'm interested to see what countries they are able to go to. So
yeah, I'm interested. I'm interested. I like the fact that they're generally staying in one continent or a couple countries.
Yes.
I think that's kind of cool because they're like there's sometimes, and we've seen this before too, but like you don't generally get to, you're flying from India to Russia, right? Or Japan to France. So you don't really get to see, like, couldn't you stay an extra leg?
Yeah. Well, I think one of the things they could have done to mix it up is they could have went to like the Virgin Islands or, maybe even like, I don't know, Puerto Rico or something, just to like territories of the U.S., but still be kind of different than what you're normally seeing. So it's going to be really interesting to see how and what countries they go to. But from what we've heard, it's a lot of Eastern Europe. So, So, yeah, should be. Or actually, that'd be Western Europe. I'm sorry, Western Europe. I think it was.
Right.
So,
okay, I had to Google it too because I was like, "Isn't that?" And you and I both pretty much told each other like, "No, this is what this says," and so.
Well, yeah, because if you think about our East Coast is their West Coast.
Correct.
You know, so yeah, that's what kind of threw me off. But
Yep.
yeah, I mean, Norway, Norway, Iceland, that you can definitely see them doing. So Sweden, yeah, who knows? All right, Calbert, that was a good episode, and hopefully next week we will get Goldberg back on. Hopefully he's recovered 100%.
Get better soon.
Yeah. Any final comments before we head on out?
I'm looking forward to seeing what they do in Scotland. At least for tomorrow night. That's going to be really interesting. Because, they're going to find out. We got to stop. What did we have to do beforehand? What's the detour? What's the roadblock? Is it going to rain?
Yeah, that's true. It's been a while since since the Amazing Race has been to Scotland. I think it was 25.
Yeah.
I remember the firefighters went out on the Scotland episode with the sheep.
They did.
Yeah. Yep. I remember that. So
I was trying to forget that, but that's okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
I think that's the last time the Amazing Race has been to Scotland.
You're right.
I know as far as London goes, they went there in season 31. So it hasn't been that long since they've been there, but Scotland's a little different.
Right.
So, all right. Should be good. And we will be back next week with our recap of episode 3 for season 33. We'll see you later.
Have a good night, everybody.